Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Llama. Of course, I've already done part 1, 2, and 3 so far. This is Gold Mondays, and normally I stop it a little bit, after those 3 replays. But Corpse, watching in the chat there, wanted to go and get a part 4, and he said, "Hey, can you help me out?" And of course, I can. So I'm very flexible. I'm very open. Whatever it is, whatever you need help with, I'm there. And of course, this also adds a Protoss to our mix. We've already had 2 Zergs and a Terran. We've had a variety of matchups so far. But guess what? In the matchups, what have I really looked at? I have looked at almost nothing to do with the matchup. Because at this league, I don't want you to be focused too much on your matchup. I mean, of course, PvZ, okay, you can forge fast expand. Sure. You know what? That's matchup related. ZVT, oh, a little bit of a misclick there, that's fine. Whoa. Weird misclick. Huh. Okay. ZVT, you know what? 15 hatch, yes. ZVZ, I gave you a safe build. But beyond the initial build, nothing has been about the matchup. It hasn't been like, oh, your opponent made Infestors and you didn't counter him with this, or your opponent made, Colossus and you didn't get the Viking. I mean, I haven't said anything about that because there's so many things to improve before we get to that point. Simply by those little points are not going to be the game changers. And yes, you know what? Maybe in one game, your opponent, here we go. Here's our attention. Our attention is focusing back and forth between this probe, between, the probe and it's just like doing all this stuff over here. And really, we don't need to do this right now. You know what? Let him get up his natural. And simply because you did that, look at this. Now you're going over your 400 minerals, and your Nexus is going to be late. So your Nexus goes down about 50 minerals late right there because you're scouting over at your opponent's base. You don't need to be doing this right now. Send the 9 scout over, and look if he's doing an early pool. That's what I would say. I'd say, you know what, you see an early pool, you see he's taking a natural, you don't even need to be microing that probe around as much as you are. This is something I would recommend once you get into higher plat, diamond. That's when I would start recommend really scouting. So right now, just focus on, look at this, we're about to fill up on our chrono boost energy right here. You can be chrono boosting probes out. If you were sitting in your base right now, you could simply be chrono boosting these probes, making probes. Oh, and time. Okay, well, you're at 17, yada yada yada. So you're going to get your forge down, you're going to get your gate down, but you could have been chrono boosting those probes out earlier, and now we're sitting on 100 or 100 chrono boost energy, 100 nexus energy, and that's not good, right? So I understand the timing of not making probes right now, and you're actually still making them. There's a way that it's actually this build's designed. You should be getting a gateway up actually instead of that pylon right there. So you actually cut probes at 17. And then you go forge, cannon, gateway, and another pylon to block, and then you can cancel it. That's only needed if necessary. And then you can throw cyber down after that and stuff. And you can throw it in the additional pylons. But the key thing I would definitely say is we don't even have to worry about all that stuff. Go learn a little forge fast expand. I would definitely say go practice it a little more. But I'm not going to say that's going to be a key. You're definitely going to lose a couple games when they send some links over early and you don't have a cannon up right there. But beyond that, that's not going to be a huge thing. That's just going to be something you'll have to kind of learn with and deal with. But the big thing that I want to note, hey, we're at 100 energy again. What are we doing with this Nexus energy? We're at 38 over here. And it's kind of the same thing as if a Zerg player is not using an inject, or a Zerg player is sitting there with empty larva being unused. Every time this chrono boost is not being used on building these probes right now, that's another probe that could be out. And once again, you're not even building probes, so we're already at the point where we're not making probes, right? So every time that this probe is not being built and this energy is not being used, that's a probe that could be out faster mining minerals, which then exponentially equals more and more probes. So what do we see right here? Little delays between each one. You know what? You can queue up probes. You can put 2 probes in right there, and you can be chrono boosting those probes out. That's going to be a goal. Right there, I'm already going to give that to you as a goal. That's going to be goal. I don't know if it's going to be number 1 goal. There may be something more important later on. You seem to be doing good with your supply, so great job with that. I really like players, and you're throwing down a lot of pylons. You're throwing down a pylon. You're throwing down. I mean, you are doing great. You're not even close to being supply blocked yet, and you're going to have another pylon down and not be supply blocked. So I really like that. That's definitely going to get you in a good position in this matchup. What I don't like as much, of course, is that Chrono Boost energy and not making probes yet again. Look at all this time that we are not building probies. How many probes are we at? We're at 30 probes right now. That's unacceptable. I can simply just come out and say that's unacceptable at this point in the game. It's not going to win you the game. You're not going to get in the position you need to get with only 30 probes right now. You could be easily 40 plus, I mean like 45 probes probably by now. I'm not exactly sure of how many probes Protoss players have at this point. I want to say you could have like 45, 46, 47 maybe, something around there if you were chrono boosting them out. So you were behind a good 15, 16 probes. And you're using this chrono boost on your warp gate, so it looks like you're going for kind of a 4-gate, Stargate sort of play right here. But hey, we're still sitting on this 100 energy. And once again, no supply blocks. Beautiful, beautiful right there. And getting up these gas. So we have these, and are we doing anything? We'll see once we get this warp gate up. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of watch and see what you do from here on out. You saw he was still on 2 bases. Okay, so you have to be wary of, what is it, of course, 2-base mutaplay. And hey, if we look over here, Mutalisk are in production. So 2-base, I mean, of course, at this level, isn't always going to be indicative of anything, but you can kind of count on Mutalisk being a possibility for sure, as that's definitely a unit that a lot of players, or on 2 bases, a lot of players will get, because they simply don't have the production to hold any of your all-ins if they sit on 2 bases and go for like roaches. If you're doing like a strong push and probing. And now you finally do get supply blocked. But once again, I'm not going to hold that against you because you've been really good so far throughout this game, not getting supply blocked at all. And to make up for it, you throw down a crap ton of pylons, 5 pylons. Okay, bit of reaction maybe, but you know what? Like I was saying before, I just don't want you to get supply blocked. So here the mutas are going to come in. Are you going to pull your probes? You're going to warp in some stalkers over there. Okay. Careful with those sentries. You do not want to lose these sentries. These are very valuable units to you right now, and losing those would be horrible. So once again, looking at this worker count, you have 29. Yes, he's killed off 13, but that puts you at 42 at 11 minutes. Not where you want to be. You can be over 70 easy by this point. And your opponent's actually on 3 base. I wonder if he took that early or not. We can go back and look later if we need. I don't even think it matters. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So no probes being built. No probes being built. Just full energy on this Nexus. Finally some probes being built. Still full energy though. And I mean, and here's the thing. You can sit there and be like, this is what a lot of players do. They'll get in this situation, and then they'll come to me and they'll be like, no, go look at the replay. I was so low on money this entire game. They're like, how did I lose this? My opponent had 4K minerals banked and 11K gas banked. And guess what? I was at 300, 400, and I was spending that stuff like mad. So anytime I'd have a warping cycle, which you do, blah, 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 whatever, I would be dropping units in, yada, 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 and I would just be kicking butt. So it's like, this doesn't make sense to me. My macro has to be greater than my opponent's. Well, when you're sitting at 37 harvesters to 64, no, it is not even close at all. And we were looking at your pro production, all the misses in it earlier on. That was just so huge, you know. And all of your energy still not being used. That's goal number 2. Goal number 1 for you. You've been great with supply, so make probes. I want you, for you. Watch your Nexus. Look at this. All I'm doing, if I was you, pretend I'm playing you. Oh, look at my Nexus. Look at my Nexus. Look at my Nexus. Build probe. Look at my Nexus. Build probe. Gateways. Build units. Okay. Look at my Nexus. Build probe. Build probe. grab that, build pylon, look at my nexus, build probe, gateways, ready, build units. Look at my nexus, build probes, go ahead and drop more pylon, drop more gateway, look at my nexus, build probes. I mean, this is what you have to be doing. This is what I want you to sit there and be doing. Don't be worrying about getting all the scouting information on your opponent and, you know, checking out everything that's going on and trying to sneak a probe around to get that pylon in. Yeah, you know what? When you're in Masters League, if you can get a pylon right up here and your opponent has a third base right there, that can be huge because all of a sudden you push out with a 2-base all in and you have a warping right there and you're going to win that game most likely, or it's going to be a lot harder for him if you get that pylon down. But you know what? If you're at the point where you only have 30 probes out when you're a normal Protoss or a Masters player Protoss would have 50 or 60 or 70 probes out, all of a sudden it doesn't matter so much if this pylon goes down. If your focus is going on this probe instead of back here on building these probes, once again, we're still only at 43 probes and we have 3 bases up almost. That's a big concern. That's a big reason for why you're losing these games. I'd also like to note, as a third smaller goal, production facilities. Sitting simply on 4 gates this late into the game is killer, especially when you have a third base up. You need way more than 4 gateways. You need to be on like 8 or 9 gateways, to be honest, at this point. I mean, of course you need more probes, but you need to be like 8, 9 gates with robo or double robo or robo stargate pumping. Like, that's something. And where's our focus? Of course, our focus is going to be on our army over here. And look at what we're producing back home. This is our production tab. This is, for both players, this is our production tab. How many times have you watched a pro player stream and looked at the production tab and nobody was building anything? I'm going to tell you, not very often. And the reason for that is because they have the ability to be looking at their army, and then back at their base and back at their army really quick, and then at their army, back at their base, back at their army. But they can do that. They have that micro, they have that mind, that management, the hotkeys, the fingers, whatever it is. They have that ability to jump back and forth between those two. But you know what? You don't right now, because and that's not an insult. You know, that's just how it is. That's just giving it to you straight. You aren't quite at that point where you can sit here and look at these Phoenix and pick up everything and still be making probes, and still be, you know, dropping pylons. Now you're probing, that's good. But using your energy, you know, we have full energy, and I don't think this energy has gone down since we used it that first time on this Nexus, and maybe a couple times to chrono boost out Warp Gate. Besides that, that is all we have had. Now you're throwing down more gateways, so there you go. That's good, but these gateways are very, very late. Look at all the money that you have. If you could have just, as a Protoss player, just continued to pump units off of these gateways, and if you know what, you have a little bit extra money saved up in these chrono boosts right here, spend these chrono boosts on all your gateways, pump all the units out. You can get 2 fast waves of units out, and suddenly your army is a huge, and it's a lot harder to deal with. Instead, you're sitting here right here, microing your army around, and you're not even building units, right? So instead of building more units to reinforce this army, you're looking at this army waiting for him to push up, and you're not doing anything to support this. You could simply just be morphing in a large wave of army right back here and then push it into that army. And I mean, it's just like your focus is so on this army that you're not focusing elsewhere. So, alright, we're going to go through it. Tell me goal number 1. Okay, goal number 1, build more probes. That is right. Goal number 2. That's exactly what you're looking at. The chrono boost energy on these Nexi. It has been horrible this entire game. Well, literally, it has been used once off of this Nexus in 18.5 minutes. That is rough, and that's going to put you behind easily what you can do. And goal number 3, does it have to do with the army? Nope. Goal number 3 is making more production facilities, and I'm even going to include warping units out of the ones you have, because a lot of time you are spending time looking at his third, you are spending time moving your army around here, trying to use graviton beam from those Phoenix, being cute, and these were sitting on empty warp cycles when you had a ton of money banked up that you could have been investing into army. So those are going to be the 3 things, the 3 goals that I'm going to give you, Corps. Other than that, you know, showed some decent promise. I like that you're trying the Forge Fast Expand. I'd say definitely go back and learn how the Forge Fast Expand exactly builds out. It will be a lot safer, and you won't lose those little games where they send some 6 or 8 lings over at you fast, because you don't have that cannon up yet because you built the 3rd pylon and all that stuff. So definitely something to work on, or something to learn, is how you're going to set up a Forge Fast Expand. But I just want that to be something you do in your little practice, and then in game, Chrono Boost Energy, making probes constantly making probes. Even now we're at 54 probes and we're not making any probes. Can still be making more. And of course, more production facilities and more units. So like I showed you right there in that game, I was looking at my Nexus, I was looking at my gates, building them, and then I would build probe, build pylon. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. Just keep doing that stuff. Just keep doing it like that. Make it very simple. Don't focus on microing the probe around. Don't focus on moving the army around and microing it so you're not, so you can find the best position to engage. I mean, that's nice stuff to do, but take care of that stuff after you get the basics down. So thank you everybody for watching. That's going to be it for me. My name is Mr. Llama. You can check me out on twitch.tv/MrLlamaSC, where I do stream daily, Sunday through Thursday, and of course that's going to be Bronze Silver Sunday, Gold Monday, Plat Tuesday, Diamond Wednesday, and Masters Thursday. So you can check me out there when I do this cast, and of course I upload them to YouTube at youtube.com/MrLlamaSC, and I'll have them in separate parts for each replay. And yeah, so I hope you learned something. I hope you guys can practice your goals, and you'll tell me how they worked out in the comments below or in messages or anything. Feedback is always appreciated. So that's going to be it, and I will see you guys tomorrow.